aspect I want to address quickly before we go to the next question. There are cultural nuances that have also affected how we perceive creative disciplines. Among the accounts, for instance, the unofficial name for a lot of creative arts disciplines is agro. It's agro, it's funny serious. You understand? And you go do a gig, you go try photo. You say, oh, photo the woman in front of me, no name it's bad. People don't understand that when an artist goes to the studio, they pay for a production, that it is illegal to make copies and distribute on WhatsApp. In other places, in certain countries, even if you have the original CD and you convert from a CD into an MP3 file and you copy it and give it to someone else and you are caught, you'll go to jail because it's intellectual property. And I will finish by saying this. What we do is one of the few things that can potentially amplify in he comes out with a melody. After our death. So if you don't take your music business serious, you're not just doing yourself a disservice, you're doing your future unborn children. Or if you have kids here, your children a disservice. Thank you.
So this introduction captures 500 things in one. You just spoke about the fact that you're supposed to plan for the future in terms of what the law says. That's an issue of intellectual property. So that's an aspect of law which we have to probably discuss, obviously. We're talking about the fact that if you have something created, it is willable. So, it goes into you bequeathing something for your kids. And then we're talking about how music, the business itself, interfaces with different facets of other sectors. So transport system, because if you have to be on a tour, you have to travel, whatever, it means that whole experience has to do with your interfacing with the other platforms. All the things that, and you can go on and on. If you want to be on an events platform, building the number of things that you're going to hire in terms of logistics, stage, light, sound, and participation, security, all of that. So you're interfacing, which means that if any country takes you seriously, it is because you are literally impacting the economic activity of the country. And if you are not seeing your role, then it means that you yourself, you don't know. And that's the reason why we're here to have this particular conversation. So it is clear, you've mentioned that talent is not enough. And you've given us cultural nuances or reasons why, for some reason, we are going to so maybe yeah, and that's the reason why it's not being taken seriously. Are there other reasons why we are not taking it seriously apart from the cultural aspect? Can we say that it is because somebody has not shown the way? There's a quote I like the most. I think it's from Steve Jobs. It says, "People do not know something until you show them." And so, can we say it is because we have not been shown that the way to succeeding in this particular space is music, is a business aspect of the music? And if yes, what do we do?
I don't know why he's passing the mic, but yes, I do think that's also one of the reasons. Unfortunately, the media space in Ghana is such that we tend to highlight a lot of news and tabloid information that would facilitate clickbait, okay? Not necessarily stuff that fosters thought leadership in the creative sector. And I think that's problematic. There's a Ghanaian artist, I'm not going to mention their name, but I can assure you, all of you here know them. And they've been active just in the last 4 or 5 years. but they are pretty big internationally. Like they really made a dent. They're not as celebrated locally, but this one artist has really done some amazing stuff across the world. The person owns a house, drives 2 lottery cars, and owns shares in an insurance company just in 5 years. It's a campaign. Plans, and so they have to go on social media to raise funds. But in the last 15, 16 years, I've heavily documented a lot of our legends, most of whom are no longer with us. And many of them really ended up as paupers in their last moments.
So if I just take that component, it simply means that by their examples, we can't, you may not necessarily believe that there is hope in music.
Yes.
And so I'm sure there are people asking, can you really make money off music?
A lot of people think there's hope because they are drawn to the false success of a lot of people who really are not earning their keep from music. And for those who know better, because they haven't seen people who have been there, done that, it becomes super challenging for them to accept the fact that we are in a very lucrative business. I'll give you a classic example. How many of you know of the US? America. Trump's town. Yes, basically. So if you take a state like Texas is huge. Okay, and it's one of the places that is known for the exploitation of crude oil, okay, petroleum. Okay, and if you take a state like California is one of the entertainment back to Africa and African music, specifically Afrobeats, and a lot of its derivatives like Amapiano and so on and so forth. African popular music is shaping the trajectory of the global music industry. The IFPI annual report captured the fact that the African market was the fastest growing music market on earth. Okay? That's number one. Number two, Africa is the only continent on planet Earth that has a majority of its population who happen to be youth. Between 70 to 75%. Unfortunately, our leadership doesn't reflect that because we're usually above 60, but that's a different conversation entirely. But I'm saying this to point out one thing, that the primary driver for culture globally, irrespective of the country you find yourself in, are the youth, it's young people. So I think we have a very short window. In fact, I think it's almost late. Because we have a lot of foreign companies that have come to Ghana, they've been buying a lot of our IP, and because of ignorance, our people are selling their IP in perpetuity. And we don't know what they're using the IP and the songs for. Maybe they're using it to train AI. And that would be crazy because it's going to get to a point the computer would make better highlights and I'm a piano than you can. If that happens, you have... Yeah, I said it. You bow. So I think we need to really set up, smell the coffee, strap our boots so that we can leapfrog and take advantage of what's happening now. Because it's not the first time it's happened. It happened before, we missed the window. When we had the likes of Hugh Masekela being one of the highest selling albums on earth. We had the Osidisas, we had the Rimkwiku bands, we had the Eddie Kwansas, we had rock bands that were primarily influenced by a lot of African music. A lot of people, how many of you know the band Fleetwood Mac? A rock band, like they were super huge in the 70s. In 1980-81, they came to Ghana to record an album here. Kolomashi and things inside, don't be small, might be wrong. So this is not the first time.
So just so we are clear, you can make money off music.
Plenty.
A lot.
Oh, your skin will change, your office will change. I'll see you, I'll recognize you, you for call me. Kofi be me, oh. I say, oh, Charlie.
Please. So why are we not making money?
Ignorance.
Ignorance. Alright. No, I think we're not making money because of the serious part of music, which is the business part. That is to me the most serious part of it. And that includes touring and music publishing. I mean, that's missing in our business, in our music business we practice in Ghana. What we do is just the recording part. We just record and put it on Spotify and put it everywhere else. These days, most of the artists are recording EPs just to give it to a company, mostly a foreign distribution company, and then they take it up for money. That is the business they're into. You know, it does not develop the artists. They don't really look forward to much, but it's like, let me put on an EP, I'm paying $10,000, $15,000 for the EP, and then it's going. So they end up not even promoting it because I think for some of these deals, there's actually a marketing and promo part that the other company is supposed to do, which they never do. Like I've seen so many of these contracts with that in there, and they don't promote the artists or market the artists. You know, when the Chinese boom play, they were here for a while. They had a bunch of arrangements like that where they were buying content or they were buying EPs and stuff, and then they were marketing, promoting, and it never happened. But whoever gave them the EPs or the records, they got their money, and that was it. There was no other business to it, you know. But then of course we know, looking at let's say Burna Boy or Muisc and where they got to. I mean, I think we all witnessed when Burna Boy was not, well, he was Burna Boy, but he's not what he is now. You know, we watched Muisc, but Muisc has he had a longer time to get to that level, but it just seemed as if Burna Boy was like not too quick, but he was more of an overnight than and I think it's because the business part of whatever they did was done. It was impeccable. Even till now, I don't think Muisc has that figured out properly. You know, I don't think Muisc has never figured out properly. And then if you come to our quote-unquote legends, I mean, I happen to get into the business of some of our older artists now, and you look at what they did in the past. The artists are illiterate to music business, Their management, their companies that they work, their record labels, you ask them the simplest questions in music business, and they have no idea. So you're wondering, so it's been 25 years, what were you doing this whole time? It was almost as if it was just luck. Everything happened out of luck. They really did not know what they were doing.
So luck has been on our side for a long time.
A long time.
All right. So for those of us who are not necessarily interested in pursuing the path of luck, since it doesn't always happen, what would you say are the key areas, in summary, you know, that music business really